What if the home you thought stretched forever was smaller than you ever imagined? What if our entire galaxy, the Milky Way, isn't the endless ocean of stars we were taught, but a quiet island adrift in something far greater? Welcome, traveler. Tonight, we drift through science, softly, slowly, to uncover the hidden truth about the galaxy we call home. You don't need to understand equations or telescopes. Just breathe and listen. Imagine the night sky above you, the faint silver river of stars stretching from one horizon to the other. It feels infinite, doesn't it? But what if that glowing river isn't as vast as it seems? What if the map we've carried for generations was drawn too large, and the truth has been hiding in plain sight, smaller, quieter, closer? For decades, we've painted the Milky Way like a masterpiece, sweeping spiral arms, billions of suns, and a bright heart of light. But recent discoveries whisper something humbler, more intimate. The galaxy may be smaller, denser, and more fragile than we believed. The universe hasn't shrunk, our understanding has deepened. If calm science helps you unwind, a gentle like or quiet subscription helps others find this peaceful corner of curiosity too. Tonight, we'll float between the stars and the spaces between them to understand how our cosmic home was remeasured and why no one seemed to notice. Far beyond the clouds, the Milky Way stretches like a silver scar across the dark. From Earth, it looks infinite, a quiet current of light flowing through the black sea of night. Each star seems frozen in place, yet everything is moving. The spiral arms turn, the sun drifts, and we, tiny passengers of gravity, glide unnoticed through the galactic tide. If you could step outside our world and look back, the galaxy would not look still. It would shimmer, a slow dance of dust and magnetism, a trillion suns swirling around a dark heart. You wouldn't hear it, but you might feel its rhythm, an ancient hum beneath existence, the heartbeat of gravity itself. For most of human history, we believed this great river of stars was endless. Even when telescopes revealed its spiral arms, we imagined it sprawling wider than comprehension, a vast empire of suns without edges. But the truth, as always, is more delicate. The Milky Way is not infinite. It's fragile, finite, and far smaller than we dared to think. Every light we see from our planet is part of a pattern, but patterns can deceive. The galaxy's beauty is deceptive, like mist glowing in moonlight. From within, its shape is nearly impossible to measure. For centuries, astronomers tried to chart it, mapping brightness and distance, tracing the ghostly arcs of starlight. Each discovery brought wonder and error. Imagine floating within that spiral, surrounded by billions of stars, each one a blazing sun separated by oceans of darkness. The scale numbs the mind. You could travel for a lifetime at the speed of light and still not reach the next bright point. And yet the entire galaxy, all that splendor, may be smaller than we ever thought. To see the galaxy is to confront illusion. Our eyes, bound to Earth's horizon, see light scattered through cosmic dust. The Milky Way's glow is not a single band, but the blurred reflection of countless suns. We mistake density for distance, brightness for vastness. Even the instruments we build inherit our assumptions, expanding the picture where the universe contracts it. When early astronomers first measured the Milky Way, they used the only map available, the night itself. William Herschel counted stars by brightness and plotted them into a shape, a rough, flattened disk with the sun at the center. He believed we lived near the heart of creation, and though he was wrong, he wasn't foolish, he was human, seeing infinity from the inside. The truth, revealed centuries later, would humble every measurement. Our galaxy is not the grand capital of the universe. It's a quiet suburb, smaller, dimmer, nestled at the edge of a cosmic city we can barely see. This revelation didn't come from arrogance, but curiosity. With each advance in technology, radio telescopes, space observatories, gravitational models, the Milky Way's size shrank, not because it was collapsing, but because our understanding was expanding. We were correcting the poetry of our own imagination. To grasp that change, picture the galaxy as a great spiral of fog. From afar, it looks solid, majestic. But step closer, and the illusion fades. The arms dissolve into clusters, the clusters into stars, and between them stretches a silence more immense than light can cross. The Milky Way isn't a solid body. It's a pattern, a ghost made of gravity. That's the paradox. The smaller it becomes in our instruments, the larger it feels in our minds. A reduction in size reveals an expansion in meaning. Knowing its limits makes it more intimate, not less. Scientists now estimate the Milky Way spans about 100,000 light-years across, less than earlier models predicted. Our home is vast, yes, but not infinite. Some galaxies dwarf ours entirely, glowing like celestial metropolises beside our modest spiral. And yet, within this smaller frame, life appeared, consciousness arose, and curiosity dared to look outward. So perhaps the Milky Way's true grandeur isn't its scale, but its precision. Like a perfectly tuned instrument, it balances chaos and order. Its arms curve just enough to nurture stars. Its rotation hums at a tempo that allows stability, a fragile harmony that gave birth to life and thought. Every night sky we've ever known is painted by this smaller truth. The galaxy doesn't need to be enormous to be sacred. Its beauty is mathematical, measured not in miles but in meaning. In the Milky Way's light, we glimpse the limits of perception. The idea that it might be smaller than we thought doesn't diminish us. It humbles us. It reminds us that our sense of size is emotional, not universal. The cosmos isn't built to impress. It simply is. As we drift through this realization, imagine the stars above you shrinking, not in brightness, but in distance. The spiral tightens, the arms draw closer, the center glows warmer. You are no longer lost in infinity. You are held within proximity. The galaxy, once an empire, becomes a home. There's a strange comfort in that, to know that what we once thought infinite has boundaries, that even the stars have edges. It makes the universe feel less like a void and more like a garden, defined, alive, personal. When we first learned that the Milky Way might be smaller, scientists were surprised but not disappointed. They smiled, because reality, when revealed, is always more intricate than imagination. It means there's more to learn, more to question, more to feel. We tend to think that discovery is about expansion, seeing farther, measuring more. But sometimes, discovery is contraction, the gentle act of realizing we've been overreaching, and the beauty lies closer than we believed. And so, the galaxy continues to spin, unaware of our recalculations. It doesn't care how we define its edges or label its arms. It just moves, patiently, endlessly, carrying us with it. From our small corner of one spiral arm, we measure, mismeasure, and measure again, chasing the truth like light chasing its own shadow. And maybe that's the essence of being human, not to own the cosmos, but to keep correcting our understanding of it, slowly, lovingly, forever. Long before machines could think, before telescopes could see beyond dust, humans drew the sky by hand. They mapped the heavens with ink and instinct, connecting dots of light into myth. The Milky Way was a river of milk to the Greeks, the spine of night to the Mayans, the path of souls to countless others. Every culture named it, yet no one truly saw it. Centuries later, when Galileo turned his primitive telescope upward, he broke that illusion. The river was not mist but millions of suns. The revelation was as terrifying as it was beautiful. The sky was deeper than imagination. The universe was not a dome, but an ocean, and Earth was a drifting boat. Still, even Galileo could not see far enough. Dust, gas, and the thickness of space hid the galaxy's shape. The light that reached him was filtered, scattered, reshaped by time. Each star was a messenger, but its message was old, a whisper from centuries past. Astronomy, in truth, was archaeology. For generations, scientists measured distance through brightness. The brighter a star appeared, the closer it was assumed to be. But space has a cruel trick. Not all lights are equal. Some burn huge but faint, others small but fierce. Without calibration, the map of the Milky Way became a mirage. Distances stretched, sizes exaggerated, boundaries blurred. Imagine drawing a continent through fog. That's what early astronomers faced. They saw only nearby islands of light and filled the gaps with imagination. The Milky Way became an empire again, sprawling and infinite, because infinity was easier to believe than error. In the early 20th century, Henrietta Leavitt found a clue. Studying pulsing stars called Cepheids, she discovered that their brightness corresponded to their true luminosity, a cosmic ruler etched into the stars themselves. Her discovery became the first reliable way to measure the universe, but even then, the Milky Way's edges remained uncertain. Each new measurement brought us closer and yet more confused. Some stars were closer than expected, others impossibly far. Astronomers began to suspect we weren't just misjudging distance, we might not even be seeing the whole structure. The galaxy's true form was hidden by its own light. To see the Milky Way from outside would require leaving it, a task impossible for now. So we built machines to imagine that perspective for us. Telescopes grew smarter, lenses colder, computers faster. Each decade peeled back another layer of dust. The Milky Way began to shrink, not physically but perceptually, the illusion of grandeur dissolving into precision. Radio astronomy in the 1950s changed everything. Invisible waves mapped the spiral arms more clearly than visible light ever could. Hydrogen gas, the galaxy's raw skeleton, revealed the curves of its body. For the first time, we could see our home's anatomy, not infinite, but elegant, coiled like a seashell in the dark. Then came Gaia, the European Space Agency's quiet miracle. Launched in 2013, it began measuring the positions of over 1 billion stars with microscopic accuracy. Each dot of light gained a coordinate, a motion, a distance, and slowly, the myth of an enormous Milky Way gave way to a humbler truth. Our galaxy was smaller, tighter, more finely woven than ever imagined. Gaia didn't just redraw maps, it redrew meaning. Every correction revealed more coherence. Stars that once seemed scattered formed patterns, streams, remnants of ancient galaxies consumed by ours. The Milky Way was no longer an empire of chaos, it was a living archive, each star a page in a 13 billion year story. Imagine drifting through that story, a vast spiral of memory. Around you, the light of 10 billion suns, each born, aged, and extinguished long before your existence. Their orbits form invisible trails, gravitational brushstrokes in the cosmic painting. Gaia saw them all, the choreography of eternity made visible. And yet, even with perfect instruments, there is humility. The farther we look, the more uncertain we become. Beyond the edges of the Milky Way lie ghostly streams of stars, remnants of smaller galaxies devoured by ours. Are they part of us or separate? Where does our home truly end? Astronomers debate, but space doesn't answer. Boundaries are a human comfort. In reality, the galaxy fades gently into the dark, not with a wall, but with a whisper. Stars thin out like grains of sand, until gravity finally releases them to the void. It's strange, isn't it? The more precisely we measure, the less we find absolute edges. Science sharpens the picture, but blurs certainty. The universe, it seems, resists being fully known. And perhaps that resistance is the most sacred quality it has. Our instruments measure distances, but wonder measures depth. To look at the Milky Way and say it's smaller is not to diminish it, but to understand it more truthfully. We've replaced awe of scale with awe of structure, the intimacy of knowing how everything fits. Sometimes I think about those early astronomers sketching the heavens by candlelight. They got so much wrong, but they kept looking up. They trusted curiosity over perfection, and that, maybe, is the most human act of all. Because science isn't about being right, it's about being wrong beautifully. Each mistake brings us closer to a clearer view, but the mistakes themselves are poetry, evidence that we tried to touch the infinite. Our galaxy isn't smaller because the cosmos shrank. It's smaller because we grew, in precision, in humility, in understanding. The Milky Way didn't change size. Our perspective evolved. So when you look at the night sky, remember that the stars above you aren't far-flung strangers. They're part of a tighter, more intricate home, a system of light and gravity that binds us gently, like a thread through time. Maybe that's the secret behind every discovery. The more we measure the universe, the more it folds inward, revealing not distance, but connection. And as Gaia continues to send back its silent data, pixel by pixel, the galaxy keeps refining itself, smaller, yes, but infinitely more alive. From far away, galaxies appear serene, perfect spirals painted across darkness. But the closer we look, the less perfect they become. The Milky Way, too, is no smooth disk. It ripples and bends like a great sheet of silk caught in a breeze. The universe, it turns out, is more fluid than geometric. We once imagined our galaxy as a grand, flat platter, a cosmic record turning slowly in space. For decades, textbooks showed its arms laid out neatly, like the petals of a flower. But telescopes have since whispered another truth. The Milky Way is warped, twisted, and alive. If you could float above it, impossibly high, beyond the pull of gravity, you would not see a perfect disk. You'd see a spiral that rises and dips, as though its edges were swaying to a silent rhythm. The warp isn't random. It's the residue of collisions, the memory of cosmic tides. Astronomers discovered this warp by tracing hydrogen gas. Unlike starlight, which can be blocked by dust, hydrogen reveals the unseen skeleton of our galaxy. When scientists mapped its distribution, they found the outer arms weren't aligned. They bent upward on one side, downward on the other. The galaxy was breathing. This bending puzzled researchers. What could distort something so massive? The Milky Way's gravitational grip is immense, yet even it isn't immune to outside influence. Neighboring galaxies, like the large and small Magellanic Clouds, tug at its edges. Their invisible hands pull gently, reshaping the spiral like wind reshapes waves. To grasp that image, picture a colossal whirlpool of stars. At its center, gravity is strong, tight, controlled. But at the edges, the pull weakens, allowing light itself to sway. The Milky Way's warp is a memory of ancient encounters, collisions that didn't destroy it, but left ripples that never faded. Every star you see tonight belongs to that ripple. Even our sun, drifting quietly within one of the galaxy's arms, rises and falls as it orbits, bobbing through the galactic plane like a boat on an invisible tide. What we call space is not stillness, it's a slow-motion sea. It's poetic to think of our galaxy as alive, breathing, moving, aging. But in a way it is. Every particle within it obeys the same universal rhythm: attraction and release, expansion and collapse. The Milky Way's warp isn't a flaw, it's the signature of its experience. Science often surprises us by revealing imperfection where we expected order. Yet those imperfections are what make the cosmos beautiful. A perfect galaxy would be sterile, frozen, a museum exhibit. Ours is asymmetrical, wounded, expressive, a living history of gravity's art. In 2019, using data from Gaia and infrared telescopes, astronomers built the most accurate three-dimensional map of the Milky Way to date. They confirmed the warp's shape, a gentle twist like a smile across the face of space. That warp isn't static, it precesses, turning slowly over hundreds of millions of years, like a great pendulum swaying through eternity. The cause of that motion remains uncertain. Some believe it's the dark matter halo, an unseen sphere surrounding the galaxy, vibrating under gravitational stress. Others think it's the memory of a recent merger, a smaller galaxy swallowed but not forgotten. Whatever the reason, the Milky Way carries its past within its very shape. When we picture the galaxy, we imagine symmetry, because symmetry comforts us. It feels safe, familiar, divine. But nature has no need for perfection. It favors balance, not precision. The warp is balance made visible, the evidence that even the cosmos must bend to remain whole. If you could travel to the outer edge of the Milky Way and look back, you would see the center curve upwards slightly, a faint distortion against the black. You might not notice at first, but the longer you stared, the more alive it would appear, as if the galaxy were slowly breathing under starlight. That breathing is silent but constant. Each oscillation, each gravitational sigh is recorded in the motion of every star. Over eons, those motions will shift the galaxy's face again. The universe is a patient sculptor. Even its quietest movements take millions of years. To understand the warp is to accept impermanence. What we call structure is just a temporary harmony of forces. Everything, galaxies, stars, even atoms, is always slightly off balance, adjusting, seeking equilibrium. Perfection is an illusion. Motion is the truth. Perhaps that's why the idea of a warped Milky Way feels comforting. It mirrors us, resilient, adaptable, imperfect. We too carry scars from collisions that didn't destroy us, only changed our shape. The galaxy bends, and we breathe with it. Astronomers estimate the Milky Way's warp may shift its orientation by as much as thousands of light years across. That means the stars at one edge of the galaxy orbit hundreds of light years higher or lower than those on the opposite side, like waves frozen in slow motion. From our position inside it, we can't see that bend directly. We live within the pattern, blind to its total form. Every map we draw is a reconstruction, a guess from the inside. There's something deeply human about that, trying to define beauty while being part of it. Even our greatest telescopes can't escape this limitation. We can observe galaxies millions of light years away more clearly than our own. The Milky Way is both our mirror and our mystery. To study it is to look at our reflection through fog, and maybe that's what makes it so poetic, that we'll never see it in its entirety. We can measure it, model it, simulate it, but we can never step outside of it. The galaxy is our horizon and our confinement, our home and our unknown. When you look up at the faint band of the Milky Way, you're not seeing perfection. You're seeing motion, memory, and imbalance made beautiful. That's the truth the warp teaches us. Even the grandest things in existence are still learning how to hold their shape. And as we drift within its spiral, somewhere between dusk and dawn, we might realize the galaxy doesn't need to be perfect to be complete. It only needs to move. At the heart of every spiral galaxy lies a silence so heavy it bends the universe around it. In ours, that silence has a name, Sagittarius AU. It sits 26,000 light years away, invisible to our eyes, yet everything we see, Every star, every orbit, every flicker of light dances to its pull. For centuries, we imagined the center of the Milky Way as a cluster of brilliant suns. Only in the last few decades did we learn that its brightest region hides its darkest truth. A black hole 4 million times the mass of our sun. It is not a monster devouring light. It is gravity perfected. If you could approach it, you wouldn't see a hole at all. You'd see the chaos it creates. A swirl of gas glowing like liquid gold, stars whipping around at unimaginable speed, light bending back upon itself. Space folds there, time stretches, and the idea of up or down loses meaning. The Event Horizon Telescope captured its first shadow in 2022. Not a photograph of the hole, but of its absence. A ring of fire encircling nothing. It was the most intimate portrait of distance ever taken, proof that we are bound not by walls of matter, but by the gravity of mystery. Around Sagittarius A, entire constellations revolve like dancers around an invisible stage. Some complete their orbits in mere years, a blink in cosmic time. One of them, a star called S2, swings so close that its light redshifts, stretched by the gravity that holds it captive. Watching S2 move is like watching time itself hesitate. Astronomers observed its orbit for decades, each pass confirming Einstein's predictions. General relativity, once a theory, became choreography. The black hole didn't break physics. It proved how graceful physics could be. And yet, for all its power, Sagittarius A is quiet. It doesn't consume recklessly. Compared to the raging giants at the centers of other galaxies, ours is almost gentle, a sleeping titan, stirring only occasionally as a star drifts too close. Its hunger sustains our stability. That paradox defines our galaxy. Motion anchored by stillness, light bound to darkness. Every rotation of every star is balanced by that central emptiness. The Milky Way exists because of something that cannot be seen. To think that our home revolves around nothing is humbling. We orbit an idea, gravity without form, presence without substance. The black hole doesn't illuminate, it orchestrates. It reminds us that meaning often hides in what we cannot observe. Some scientists describe it clinically, a region where space-time curves infinitely. But there's poetry there, too. The event horizon is not destruction, it's transformation. Beyond it, time and space trade roles. Beyond it, where and when dissolve into the same thing. Imagine drifting toward that horizon. As you fall, the universe would stretch above you like a fabric being pulled. Colors would redden, sounds would vanish, and the concept of later would slip away. You wouldn't see yourself disappear. You'd simply become part of the silence. This isn't morbid, it's magnificent. The black hole isn't the galaxy's grave, it's its heart, compressing all that once was into the seed of what will be. From that pressure, galaxies are shaped, cycles renewed, even voids can give birth. In a sense, Sagittarius AI is less an object than a mirror. It reflects our own curiosity back at us. We stare into it and see both the limits of understanding and the boundlessness of wonder. Every civilization before us has gazed toward that dark center, feeling something they couldn't name. When the ancient sky watchers looked into the constellation of Sagittarius, they called that region the Archer. Perhaps they sensed the metaphor, a cosmic bowstring, tension held between creation and collapse. The arrow of gravity always points inward, and yet we live comfortably within its pull. The sun orbits that black hole once every 230 million years. In the time it takes to complete a single revolution, continents drift, species rise and vanish, civilizations are born and forgotten. The galaxy turns, but we never feel the motion. It's easy to forget we're moving around a center we cannot see. Every sunrise, every moonrise, Every heartbeat is subtly influenced by that dark mass 26,000 light-years away. The most invisible thing in the universe shapes everything visible in our lives. Perhaps that's the quiet lesson the galaxy offers. Not all power is loud. Some of the strongest forces act silently, unseen, patient. The same gravity that holds a star in orbit also holds a teardrop on a cheek. Scale changes, essence doesn't. Sagittarius A6 will one day fade when the galaxy's fuel runs dry. But its influence will linger, a ripple through eternity, a memory imprinted in the fabric of space. The Milky Way will carry that memory as long as it turns. And as you sit here, listening, your own atoms, born from ancient stars, orbit that same center. You are part of the spiral, part of the silence, part of the equation. You are both light and gravity, awareness and mystery. The black hole isn't out there, distant and abstract. It lives within every cycle of letting go, every breath that surrenders to the next. It's the still point in the turning world, the quiet at the core of every motion. So, as we drift further into this story of our galaxy, remember, the heart of the Milky Way is not absence, it's balance. A reminder that what we can't see may still be the most essential thing holding us together. From a distance, the Milky Way looks frozen, a still image of elegance. But if time could be sped up, the spiral would flow like liquid gold. Stars would move as if in a slow river, currents of gravity weaving them into endless motion. The galaxy breathes in orbits, and we drift within its pulse. Each spiral arm is not a structure, but a wave, a pattern of density that moves through the galactic disk like sound through air. Stars are born within those waves, live their luminous lives and fade, leaving behind trails of dust and memory. The arms do not carry the stars move through them. Imagine standing on the edge of one of those arms, watching it turn. It would not spin like a wheel, it would ripple like wind on water. The rhythm would be glacial but constant. Every shimmer of light, every spark of creation would be part of the same cosmic tide. Our sun is one of those travelers. It moves within a small spur between two larger arms, the Orion Cygnus arm, a quiet backwater of the galaxy's flow. Around us, stars rise and fade, and yet we remain bound to the same current, orbiting the galactic center every 230 million years. It's humbling to think that when dinosaurs walked the Earth, the sun was on the opposite side of the Milky Way. Every revolution through the galaxy marks an age of life, an epoch of change. We are passengers aboard a ship that doesn't know it sails. The spiral arms are more than patterns of light. They are factories of stars. Within their glowing clouds of gas and dust, gravity gathers material into knots that ignite into suns. Each new star is a spark struck from the flint of the void, fragile, radiant, temporary. Astronomers call these regions stellar nurseries. The Orion Nebula, visible even from Earth's backyard telescopes, is one such place, a cradle of newborn light. Within its pink and violet haze, stars are forming right now, their heat pushing back the darkness, their gravity sculpting new worlds. If you could stand inside one of these nurseries, you'd see pillars of dust rising like mountains, glowing with infrared warmth. The air would shimmer with charged particles, and the silence would hum, a low, continuous vibration of creation. You wouldn't hear it, but you'd feel it in your bones. The arms of the Milky Way move at different speeds. Some stars race ahead, others lag behind. Gravity choreographs them like dancers who never meet, yet follow the same music. This dance is so vast that no star completes more than a handful of orbits before it burns out. In a human lifetime, we travel only a fraction of that journey. The stars above us tonight will still be there for millennia, yet they too are moving, drifting silently through the black, motion so slow it becomes invisible. Every arm of the Milky Way is a paradox, chaos shaped into beauty, turbulence disguised as peace. Inside its calm curves, supernovae erupt, nebulae collide, and planets are born. It is serenity born from violence, order emerging from entropy. Some regions of the galaxy glow blue, filled with hot, young stars. Others fade red, home to the aged and dying. Between them lies the story of time itself, not linear, but cyclical. Every death seeds a new beginning. Every collapse gives rise to light. Astronomers once thought the spiral arms were static, but modern models reveal their constant motion. The pattern is maintained by gravity waves, ripples that move through the disk, compressing matter into brightness. The Milky Way is not painted, it's perpetually being painted. Our sun and its planets float gently within this flowing structure, never aware of its scale. Each orbit we complete carries the memory of everything that came before, every storm, every silence, every spark that ever burned. The galaxy doesn't reset, it rewinds and resumes. Sometimes, when you look at the Milky Way from a dark place on Earth, it feels like you're seeing time itself stretched across the sky. Each star is a fossil of light, some shining from the present, others from millions of years in the past. Together, they form a single, continuous moment. To drift among them would be to drift through memory. A traveler moving through the arms would see not stillness, but history unfolding in layers. Newborn stars glowing alongside ancient remnants, dust from dead suns mingling with the breath of new worlds. Every orbit of the galaxy writes a chapter in its autobiography. The arms we see now will look different in another 100 million years. Some stars will fade, others will ignite. The pattern will change, but the rhythm will remain. Motion without hurry, transformation without loss. In the arm's soft glow lies the universe's greatest truth. Nothing stands still, yet nothing truly disappears. Matter becomes light, light becomes memory, and memory becomes meaning. The galaxy's spiral is not just structure, it's story. We call them arms, but they're not limbs reaching outward. They're pathways inward, leading back to the center, to gravity, to belonging. Every curve of the spiral is a reminder that expansion and return are part of the same breath. When scientists model the Milky Way on computers, they simulate billions of stars, each obeying gravity's law. The result looks like art, swirls of gold and blue, a living current. It's humbling that numbers can reproduce beauty so perfectly, yet still fail to explain its feeling. Perhaps that's the limit of science. It can describe the movement, but not the meaning. The spiral arms exist not only in the cosmos, but in us. Our veins, our memories, our thoughts, all follow the same looping paths of flow and return. The galaxy's arms are not edges, but invitations. They call us to look outward and inward at once, to see that motion is connection, and that every orbit is a circle of understanding. So as you gaze at the night sky tonight, know this: you are drifting through a river of stars, moving silently in a dance older than life itself. The Milky Way carries you not as a passenger, but as part of its current, a momentary glimmer in the eternal flow of light. Between the stars lies a silence so dense it looks like nothing at all. But that darkness isn't empty. It's full of dust. Not the kind you brush off a shelf, but ancient grains of carbon and ice, drifting for billions of years. The Milky Way's beauty depends on what hides it. When you look up at the night sky and see patches of darkness cutting through the luminous band, you're seeing those clouds. They are the galaxy's shadows, vast regions of interstellar dust that block starlight, sculpting the Milky Way's texture. The dark makes the light visible. This dust is delicate, almost holy in its purpose. Each grain is smaller than smoke, yet together they form structures hundreds of light years wide. They absorb the light of stars and re-emit it as a faint infrared glow, warmth instead of brilliance. The galaxy hums softly through that warmth. Without this dust, stars would never be born. It's within these cold, opaque clouds that hydrogen atoms gather, collide, and collapse into fire. The same matter that hides the light gives birth to it. Darkness, in the universe, is not absence. It's potential. Astronomers map these clouds using infrared telescopes like NASA's Spitzer and the European Herschel Observatory. They peer through the obscuring dust and find what optical light cannot show: filaments, knots, and rivers of creation winding invisibly through space. The unseen becomes the essential. Imagine floating through one of those clouds. You wouldn't see stars. You'd see a gentle fog of particles glowing faintly, a twilight without direction. The temperature would hover just above absolute zero. Yet the stillness would feel alive, vibrating with possibility. Inside those frigid regions, molecules form: carbon monoxide, water, methane, the building blocks of life. Cosmic dust carries chemistry across the galaxy, seeding potential wherever gravity gathers enough to spark ignition. Every planet, every body, every breath begins in dust. It's poetic, almost spiritual, that our origins lie in obscurity. We were born not in light, but in shadow, in quiet collisions too small to notice. The dust remembers those moments. Each grain is a history book without words, a memory of heat and silence combined. The dark lanes you see stretching across the Milky Way's core, like rivers of ink over gold, are colossal dust bands. They mark where stars have yet to emerge, where gravity is still composing its next symphony. The galaxy is an unfinished song. Even light bows to these regions. Photons traveling for thousands of years are absorbed and scattered, dimming into infrared whispers. Yet what they lose in brightness, they gain in depth, painting the universe in subtler tones. The cosmos does not only shine, it breathes. Dust is paradoxical. It hides and reveals, destroys and creates, filters and nourishes. Every telescope we build must negotiate with it, a constant veil between us and truth. The more precisely we see, the more we realize that clarity is not the same as understanding. Our solar system still carries remnants of that ancient dust. It floats between planets, coating spacecraft, glimmering faintly in the sunlight as zodiacal light. What seems like a faint glow before dawn is the dust of other worlds reflecting ours. We live in a haze of memory. Even the air we breathe holds a whisper of cosmic dust. Microscopic grains fall to Earth daily, remnants of comets, asteroids, and ancient stars. Each particle that settles on your skin tonight might have drifted across time for millions of years before finding you. Some of these grains come from supernovae, stars that died in explosions so violent they forged the universe's heavier elements: iron, silicon, carbon, all scattered through the void. Every breath you take contains the remnants of a star that once burned brighter than the sun. So when you touch your face and your desk, the air around you, you're touching stardust, the same material that forms planets, moons, and hearts. The universe doesn't recycle, it reincarnates. Dust is the language through which matter remembers itself. The next time you see the Milky Way on a clear night, look for the darkness within it. Those dark lanes aren't voids, they're the wombs of light. The galaxy needs shadow to define its glow, just as we need quiet to understand sound. Science describes it with precision, opacity, scattering, absorption, but language can't capture its emotional weight. To see cosmic dust is to see the handwriting of the universe erased and rewritten endlessly. Creation requires erasure, visibility requires mystery. In a way, the dust is mercy. If the universe were perfectly transparent, there would be no softness, only raw brilliance, unbearable in its truth. The dust gives the cosmos gentleness, diffusing its power so that we may look up and not be blinded. These clouds drift slowly through the Milky Way, reshaping over millions of years. They are nomads, wandering rivers of shadow and light. Gravity guides them toward the galactic arms, where they'll one day ignite new stars. Even darkness has a destination. Astronomers call the largest of these clouds molecular complexes. Names like Orion, Taurus, and Perseus mark regions where dust thickens enough to dream. Inside them, the silence grows heavy until it breaks, until a star is born and the shadow learns to shine. When that happens, the dust doesn't vanish. It becomes part of the star's planets, its moons, its rings. It joins the light it once obscured. Death in the cosmos is simply an apprenticeship for rebirth. Perhaps that's the truest lesson hidden between stars. What we can't see is often what sustains us. The unseen isn't lesser, it's foundational. Dust isn't the opposite of light, it's the soil from which light grows. So, when the night feels too dark, remember, that same darkness gave rise to every sunrise. The same shadows that hide the stars are already preparing new ones. The galaxy is patient, and you, too, are part of its quiet creation. Every star you see tonight is moving, not just spinning, not just orbiting, but traveling through the galaxy on a journey it will never complete. The Milky Way is a river of travelers, each following its own invisible current, pulled by gravity's unspoken language. To the naked eye, the stars look frozen. Constellations hold their shapes across generations, but that's an illusion born of time's slowness. If we could speed up the sky, we'd see the constellations melt and reform, like glowing flocks migrating across eternity. Astronomers call this movement stellar migration. It happens because stars are never perfectly anchored. Over billions of years, gravity from nearby clusters, passing clouds, and the spiral arms themselves nudge them off course, pushing them inward or outward through the galactic disk. Our sun, too, is migrating. Born closer to the galaxy's center, it has drifted outward over billions of years, carried by gravitational tides. Every sunrise, every orbit, we move a little farther from where we began. Wanderers, unaware of our own pilgrimage. This motion isn't chaotic, it's symphonic. Each star is a note, and gravity conducts them in silence. The result is not randomness, but rhythm, a cosmic music too slow for human ears, yet always playing in the background of existence. Some stars migrate in groups, open clusters, born from the same clouds of gas, drift together for millions of years before dispersing. The Pleiades, those 7 shimmering sisters, are one such group, slowly parting ways as galactic winds scatter their shared memory. Others travel alone, exiled by the violence of gravity. When 2 massive stars orbit too closely, one can sling the other into space at hundreds of kilometers per second. Astronomers call them runaway stars. They are cosmic refugees, bright and lonely, carrying the echoes of the system that cast them out. Even entire star clusters migrate. The Milky Way's halo is filled with globular clusters, spherical swarms of ancient stars, orbiting far above and below the galactic plane. Some are remnants of smaller galaxies the Milky Way devoured, their orbits fossilized into our gravitational memory. That's the secret most people don't realize. Our galaxy is a cannibal. It grows by consuming others. Every few 100 million years, it merges with a smaller neighbor, folding its stars, dust, and dark matter into its own spiral. The Milky Way is part predator, part poet. Astronomers can trace this cosmic archaeology. The Gaia spacecraft maps the motions of over 1 billion stars, revealing streams that once belonged to other galaxies, rivers of light, torn apart and rethreaded into our own. The night sky is a tapestry of collisions. One of the most beautiful of these mergers is the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy, a faint, elongated stream wrapping around the Milky Way. Its stars are being stripped away, stretched into arcs that will one day vanish completely into our spiral arms. Even galaxies fade into belonging. But the greatest migration is yet to come. In about 4 billion years, the Milky Way will collide with the Andromeda Galaxy. Two titans of starlight will merge, not with violence, but with an elegance that defies imagination. Their stars will mostly pass between each other, barely touching, yet their shapes will dissolve into one. From that union, a new galaxy will form, elliptical, luminous, serene. Astronomers already call it Milky, a name that sounds almost tender. It will be a rebirth, not an ending. The galaxies will not destroy each other, they will become each other. If humanity still exists, then our descendants will look up and see a sky unlike any before, filled with twin spirals merging overhead, a cosmic bloom of light. The Milky Way's migration will have reached its next chapter. Even before that distant future, the migration continues within. The Sun moves at 828,000 kilometers per hour around the galactic center. You, sitting right now, are hurtling through space with it. Every atom in your body participates in that quiet motion. It's strange to think of movement without sensation. We feel still, but we are never still. Our lives unfold aboard a moving platform, a star within a system, within a galaxy, all gliding through space's deep current. Stillness, it seems, is only a matter of perspective. Gravity doesn't rush. It's patient, persuasive, eternal. Over billions of years, it reshapes the galaxy, reassigning stars like a careful editor revising a story. Every orbit, every drift, every nudge is a word rewritten in the language of mass and motion. Even black holes migrate. Some drift toward the center of gravity wells, merging and growing stronger. Others are flung outward by galactic collisions, exiled into intergalactic space, invisible travelers pulling fragments of galaxies behind them like ghostly tails. The Milky Way itself is moving too, not just spinning, but gliding through the universe toward a region astronomers call the Great Attractor, a gravitational anomaly so immense it pulls entire clusters of galaxies across millions of light years. That's the ultimate migration, not of stars, but of everything. Space itself flows toward unseen destinations. The universe is not expanding into emptiness, it's expanding into motion, into change. Even nothing moves. When you look at the night sky, you're seeing the migration frozen in one frame of an endless film. Each star's position tonight is just a single moment in its billion-year journey. The constellations you recognize are temporary friendships of light. Perhaps this quiet restlessness mirrors our own. Just as stars drift from their birthplace, we drift from ours, and physically, emotionally, spiritually. We seek centers that can hold us, even as gravity calls us elsewhere. We are the universe's instinct to wander, and yet, through all that motion, a strange calm persists. The galaxy doesn't rush to arrive, it simply moves. That is its perfection, not in stillness, but in grace. The cosmos teaches us that peace is not the absence of movement, it's the acceptance of its rhythm. So, as you breathe now, as you drift on this spinning world, inside a drifting system, within a migrating galaxy, remember, you are never lost. You are simply participating in the universe's oldest journey, Every heartbeat, every orbit, every breath is migration. At the edges of the Milky Way, light thins until it feels like memory. The stars there are old, dim embers drifting in the cold. They burn not to be seen, but simply because burning is all they know. The galaxy fades gently at its own borders. These outer regions are not empty, just quieter. The density of stars drops, the light softens, and time feels stretched. Astronomers call this the galactic halo, a vast, spherical shell of ancient stars and dark matter, orbiting far beyond the luminous spiral we see. Many of these stars were once part of other galaxies, consumed long ago. Their orbits are chaotic, their paths lonely. They wander without belonging, yet they give the Milky Way its invisible shape, a ghostly architecture of forgotten suns. If you could drift out there beyond the spiral arms, you'd see the Milky Way as a glowing island in a vast, dark sea. Its center would pulse softly, its arms curling like mist. Around you, faint stars would flicker, like campfires left by travelers who moved on long ago. Astronomers study these faint lights using the Hubble and Gaia telescopes, mapping the stars' motions to uncover the galaxy's past. Each orbit tells a story of collision, capture, and endurance. The halo is less a place and more a memory field, where time loops back on itself. Some of these ancient stars are survivors of the universe's first generations. They were born before the Milky Way even took its shape. Their light is weak but pure, carrying the chemical fingerprint of the early cosmos, when only hydrogen and helium existed. To look at one of these stars is to see the dawn of creation still glowing faintly in the dark. Their existence reminds us that the universe never truly forgets its beginnings. Even after billions of years, the first lights still whisper across the void. Yet, even stars must fade. When their fuel runs out, they collapse inward, becoming white dwarfs, dense, dim corpses of what once blazed. These remnants cool slowly over trillions of years, turning black and silent, a universe of ghosts still orbiting unseen. In time, all stars will meet that fate. The cosmos, once bright and burning, will dim into a quiet tapestry of darkness and cold. But that far future is not tragic. It's serene. The universe doesn't fear endings. It honors them. The faint light we see tonight is already ancient. It left its source long before humans existed. When you look at a star, you're seeing history, not the present. You're gazing at light that traveled for ages just to reach your eyes, a patient messenger of time. Some of the faintest stars belong to the Milky Way's globular clusters, dense spheres of hundreds of thousands of stars, bound tightly together. They orbit the galaxy's halo like lanterns hanging in the night, relics from an age when the universe was young and restless. Within those clusters, the stars are packed so closely that their light blends into a shimmering haze. If you floated among them, you'd see no darkness at all, just a ceaseless golden glow, like drifting inside a candle flame. But most of that light is dying. Astronomers once thought globular clusters were eternal, but they too are changing. Stars escape their gravity, drifting away into the halo. The clusters thin, dissolve, and fade. Even the most steadfast structures surrender to time's patient erosion. This fading isn't sorrowful, it's peaceful. The cosmos doesn't cling to youth. It allows itself to age, to release, to quiet down. Every flicker that fades is part of the rhythm, the same rhythm that beats in galaxies, stars, and hearts alike. In the outskirts of the Milky Way, you can sense the scale of loss. Billions of suns gone silent, their light now scattered into the interstellar medium. Yet in that stillness, there's beauty, a softness like the afterglow of a thought. Science measures this region in numbers: luminosity, mass density, metallicity. But what it can't measure is presence. The faint light feels alive, almost sentient, like a memory that refuses to go out completely. The universe remembers through light. Even the cosmic background radiation, the faint microwave hum that fills all space, is a kind of lingering memory. It's the afterglow of the Big Bang, stretched thin by time, still echoing through every corner of existence. The faintest light is the truest record. Perhaps this is why we find comfort in candlelight, in sunsets, in the last shimmer before nightfall. Somewhere deep in our biology, we remember what it means to fade gracefully. We are built from the dust of dying stars. Their quiet strength lives in us. Astronomers predict that one day, no new stars will form. The galaxies will drift apart, and the last lights will flicker out. But before that distant twilight, the cosmos will have lived a full, luminous life, a masterpiece painted across eternity. It's hard to call that ending sad. Imagine the final scene: a universe vast and silent, filled with black dwarfs and frozen worlds. And in that silence, a peace deeper than sound, a rest earned through infinite creation. The last breath of light, calm, complete. When you look at the faintest star tonight, think of it not as dying, but as finishing its song. Every photon it releases is a note played across the universe. The music may fade, but the vibration remains, woven into space itself. Even forgotten stars are never truly gone. Their atoms drift into new forms: clouds, worlds, life. What once burned as light may now breathe as you. The universe doesn't lose, it transforms. The faint light never ends, it only changes hands. So, as you lie under the night sky, let that realization sink in. You are surrounded by ghosts of brilliance, by the warmth of forgotten suns. Their light touches your skin, enters your eyes, and becomes part of your story. You are living proof that even fading light endures. There will come a night when the Milky Way no longer glows, not because it was destroyed, but because it has simply grown tired. Every star will have burned its last fuel, every spark will have cooled, and the galaxy will fall into a deep, eternal sleep. Astronomers call this the heat death, a future where energy spreads so evenly across space that nothing can happen anymore. No more stars, no more light, no more change. But perhaps death is the wrong word. Maybe it's rest. The universe closing its eyes after eons of wonder. In that far future, black holes will be the final keepers of memory. They'll drift quietly through the dark, consuming what remains, whispering the last gravity songs of the cosmos. Time itself will bend slower around them, until even that music fades. Inside those black holes, the last traces of galaxies will swirl, information folded into silence. What once blazed across billions of light years will exist only as ripples in space-time, like a story written in invisible ink. Yet the ink is still there, waiting. When we think of this future, we imagine darkness. But darkness is not absence, it's fullness. It's the gathering of everything, all light absorbed, all sound hushed. The universe doesn't vanish, it turns inward, like a deep inhale that never exhales again. Entropy, the slow drift toward disorder, is often seen as decay. But what if it's balance? After all, the universe has been expanding, cooling, and softening since its birth. This quieting isn't a tragedy, it's a homecoming, the return of energy to stillness. Even now, you can sense that stillness between heartbeats. Between one breath and the next, there's a silence that mirrors the cosmic future. Within that pause lies eternity, not frightening, not empty, just infinite calm. The stars that once lit our skies will fade into red dwarfs, then white embers, then invisible cinders. The last lights will glow faintly for unimaginable spans of time, their warmth spreading thinner and thinner across space until it can no longer be felt. But in that thin light lies peace. The chaos of birth and death, of explosions and collisions, and will finally end. The universe will reach equilibrium, the same harmony it has always sought. It will no longer need to create. It will simply be. Black holes, too, will eventually dissolve through Hawking radiation, evaporating into faint quantum whispers. Even gravity will loosen its grip. The cosmos will become diffuse, soft, unbound. And in that vast exhale, time itself may forget to move. If that sounds sad, it's only because we are creatures of beginnings. We crave light, growth, continuation. But the universe is older, wiser. It understands that stillness is not the opposite of life. It's its completion, the silence after the song. Perhaps by then, the memory of us will live in that silence, the vibrations of our voices, the pulse of our thoughts, scattered as faint ripples in space-time. Maybe that's enough, to have sung one sad in the chorus of creation. Astronomers calculate these futures with equations and constants, but math can't describe the feeling of an ending so vast. It's not despair that lingers there, it's awe. The quiet kind, the kind that asks for nothing and explains everything. Even in its final breath, the universe will still be beautiful. Not in color or motion, but in form, a perfect diffusion of all that ever was. Every photon, every atom, every life redistributed evenly across infinity. The ultimate act of sharing. You can imagine that moment like the ocean after a storm. No more waves, no more wind, just the slow rocking of water under an endless sky. That's what eternity might feel like, not static, but peacefully unchanging. Some scientists propose that this might not be the end at all. Quantum fluctuations could stir new beginnings, tiny bursts of energy forming new universes from the ashes of the old. If so, the cosmos never truly dies. It just transforms again, dreaming itself anew. And maybe that's the truth we were meant to find, that endings are never final, only transitions. The Milky Way's sleep may be the prelude to another dawn. The silence after one universe might be the heartbeat of the next. Even now, we're part of that rhythm. Every action, every thought, every breath feeds into the unfolding of entropy, not as decay, but as continuation. You are helping the universe rest, one quiet moment at a time. When the last galaxies fade, when the final particles drift apart, something, call it consciousness, memory, or grace, will remain. Not in form, but in presence, the echo of existence itself. The universe began in light, but it may end in stillness, and perhaps that symmetry is perfect. What begins with a bang ends with a sigh, the breath of creation returning home. When you look up at the night sky tonight, you're seeing that story in progress, the balance between birth and rest, expansion and quiet. Every star you see is both a flame and an ember. Every light is already halfway to silence, so if you ever feel small or fleeting, remember this: even the stars are temporary, and yet they mattered. They shaped galaxies, warmed worlds, and gave rise to you. You are the universe remembering itself before it sleeps. And maybe, when the galaxy finally rests, when time itself lies still, that memory will remain, the faint hum of everything that ever was, vibrating softly in the endless dark. A lullaby written by existence for itself. There is a strange tenderness in the fact that the universe made something that could look back at it. For billions of years, stars burned, galaxies collided, gravity sculpted space, and none of it was witnessed. It was beautiful, but it was unseen. Then, much later, on the edge of an average galaxy, on a small blue world, chemistry learned how to notice. Atoms that once drifted in nebulae began asking, "What am I?" That question alone made the cosmos more than matter. It made it aware. Consciousness is often treated like a side effect, an accident of biology. But what if it is the universe's way of tasting its own existence before the long night? We are made of hydrogen forged in stars, iron born in supernovae, water condensed from ancient clouds. Yet somehow those ingredients, when arranged just right, don't just live, they wonder. That shift from existence to curiosity is monumental. Think about it. The galaxy does not know it is small. The black holes do not know they bend time. The dark matter that holds everything together does its work in silence. Only minds notice scale, notice absence, notice the quiet widening of space. Only minds can say, our galaxy is smaller than we thought, and that makes it even more precious. That is not astronomy, that is awareness. This is why your thoughts matter more than you think. Every time you look at the night sky and feel that mix of awe and softness, you are performing the rarest act in the cosmos. You are turning matter into meaning. Photons travel tens of thousands of years from stars in our own galaxy, slipped through the atmosphere, reached your eyes, and instead of stopping there, they became feelings, they became story. Neuroscience will tell you that thoughts are electrochemical signals, and that's true. But in the sleepy science lens, thoughts are also continuity. They are how stardust refuses to be just dust. They are how the universe keeps a diary of itself in temporary pages. Human lives, human memories, human dreams. Even if the diary burns later, it was written. That's enough. What makes this even softer is timing. Consciousness appears in a narrow window. Not at the beginning when everything was too hot and chaotic, and not at the end when everything will be too cold and spread out. It appears in the middle, while stars are still shining, while galaxies are still forming, while there is still beauty to witness. It is as if the universe waited until it was picturesque, then opened its own eyes. So astronomers sometimes call our era the era of light, because we can still see distant galaxies, still measure the cosmic microwave background, still receive signals from a vibrant universe. In the far future, cosmic expansion will pull galaxies away faster than light can reach us, and the sky will grow emptier. Future observers, if any exist, will not be able to tell the universe was ever this alive. But we can. Right now, you can. So your act of listening to quiet science at night is not small. It is perfectly placed in cosmic time. You are alive in the thin slice where the universe is both observable and habitable, where stars still sing in infrared and radio, where the Milky Way still has shape. You are here before the lights dim. You are the audience. If we stretch this thought further, we can imagine that every intelligent species, if they exist out there, goes through this same realization. First they map their world, then their star, then their galaxy. Then comes the moment of humility. Oh, our galaxy is not the big one. Then comes the deeper realization, but we are the ones who noticed. That second realization is the one that brings peace. Because smallness is not a flaw. Smallness is intimacy. A smaller galaxy can be mapped, understood, loved. A finite home can be cherished. If the Milky Way were infinite, it would be unreachable to the heart. Knowing its boundaries, knowing its mass, knowing its spiral arms, all of that lets us hold it in the mind like a lantern. You can love what you can picture. This is where science and tenderness finally meet. Measurements from Gaia, from Hubble, from future instruments tell us, here is your real size. And instead of feeling cheated, we can feel anchored. It's like learning the real size of the room you grew up in, smaller than you remembered, but somehow warmer. The galaxy did not shrink. Our knowledge sharpened. And knowledge, when held gently, always leads to gratitude. Gratitude that gravity held this disk together long enough for stars like the sun to appear. Gratitude that the sun lasted long enough for Earth to cool. Gratitude that Earth was calm enough for life to experiment. Gratitude that life dared to become conscious. A whole staircase of improbabilities, and you are standing at the top, looking out. There is also something beautiful about the fact that awareness is quiet. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives as someone, somewhere, staying up late, listening to a soft voice explain galaxies. It arrives as a researcher staring at star counts in a spreadsheet and whispering, "Huh, that's less than we thought." The universe expands in silence, and we understand it in silence. If you zoom all the way in, consciousness is just arrangements of particles. If you zoom out, consciousness is the galaxy seeing itself. Both are true. This duality, tiny mechanisms producing vast insight, is one of the deepest patterns in nature. Atomic spins produce chemistry. Tiny temperature ripples produce galaxy clusters. Tiny human minds produce cosmic maps. We could even say that each act of attention slows the universe down, just for a second, not literally, but experientially. The expansion continues, stars orbit, dark energy pushes. But inside your awareness, time lengthens. You can sit inside one fact: our galaxy is a little smaller than we thought, and explore it from every angle, feeling its emotional weight, not just its numerical value. This slowing is important. The universe is in a hurry to thin out, but we are not. We can rest inside knowledge. We can take what could have been a cold headline and turn it into a lullaby. We live in a smaller galaxy, and it's enough. That's what this whole style of storytelling is about. Turning data into dusk. Even the galaxy, if it could speak, might prefer that. Not to be worshipped as an endless titan, but to be known as what it is. A beautiful, finite spiral, held together by dark matter and time. Home to billions of stars and one species that told stories. That's a lovely legacy for a galaxy. Not power, but remembrance. And here is another gentle twist. Even if the Milky Way is smaller, it is still more than we will ever fully explore. That combination, finite but unfinishable, is perfect for wonder. It means there will always be another cloud to map, another star stream to trace, another satellite galaxy to discover. Enough to keep curiosity warm, not enough to crush it. When future humans, or whoever comes after, look back at these measurements, they might smile at how amazed we were. They might have better instruments, clearer maps, cleaner simulations, but they will still be standing inside the same truth. We are little, and we are lucky. That truth doesn't expire. All of this circles back to one idea. The universe did not waste its time making you. You are not a side quest. You are an expression of its longing to be seen. Your ears, your eyes, your late-night listening sessions, these are the universe gathering feedback on itself. How did I do? It asks, through starlight. You were beautiful, we answer, through science. So tonight, as you imagine the Milky Way from the outside, a glowing disk, thinner than some we've found, gentler than others, picture also the tiny lights within it that think. Picture bedrooms, labs, observatories, all scattered through one spiral arm, all looking up. That's us. That's the chorus, small singers in a large hall. And if this galaxy is smaller, then your place in it is proportionally bigger. Your awareness fills more of the map. Your gratitude covers more of the territory. In a vast, endless cosmos, a single voice is almost nothing. In a defined, knowable galaxy, a single voice is part of the record. We often fear insignificance when we talk about space, but insignificance only exists when comparison is the goal. If belonging is the goal, then size doesn't matter. You belong in a small galaxy. You would have belonged in a big one. You belong because you are made of it. So let this knowledge soothe you, not shrink you. Let it tell you that reality is more precise than rumor, and precision is beautiful. Let it tell you that the cosmos is not offended by being measured. It is delighted. It wanted to be understood before it dims. And when the night ends and you close your eyes, remember this final softness. A galaxy does not need to be the biggest to be worthy of wonder. And you do not need to be the biggest to be worthy of being here. The same law holds for both of you. Existence is enough. Light, in many ways, is the universe's memory. It doesn't simply illuminate, it records. Every photon carries a message from the past, a snapshot of how things once were. When you look at a star, you are seeing not what is, but what was. The sky is not a picture of the present, but a museum of ancient moments still traveling toward us. This is one of the most haunting truths in science. Nothing you see is current. The moon is 1 second behind. The sun is 8 minutes late, and the nearest galaxy is 2 million years old in your eyes. The universe moves faster than our sight can follow. We live perpetually in the afterglow. Yet there's comfort in that delay. It means that nothing is ever truly gone. Every star that ever shone, every supernova that ever burst, still sends faint echoes through space. Those photons may be scattered, absorbed, re-emitted, but their information persists. The universe is full of memories written in light. Telescopes like Hubble and Webb are memory machines. They don't just look far, they look back. The deeper they gaze, the younger the universe becomes. Every red-shifted image is a time capsule, the cosmic dawn playing out, billions of years delayed. We are not explorers of space, we are archaeologists of light. When the James Webb Telescope first saw the earliest galaxies, astronomers called it looking into the beginning of time. But what they were really doing was reading the universe's diary. The pages were tattered, the ink stretched by expansion, yet the story remained legible, light surviving impossibility. In those images, galaxies appeared more mature than expected, as if they had lived longer than physics allowed. It startled scientists, but it also felt poetic. Perhaps the cosmos ages differently in memory than in motion. Perhaps the first light lingers more tenderly than equations predict. Every beam of light that reaches us has been bent, delayed, and reshaped by gravity. Massive clusters of galaxies act as lenses, curving space-time itself, letting us glimpse what would otherwise be hidden. The universe uses its own weight to magnify its own past. It's a trick of physics, but it feels like sentiment. Imagine that, gravity preserving memories. The bending of light around a galaxy is not just distortion, it's compassion. It allows light that should have been lost to reach us after all. The cosmos insists that its moments be remembered. Even gravity participates in nostalgia. If you could see light not as brightness, but as history, the sky would shimmer like water, full of layers and ghosts. The photons hitting your eyes would overlap like ripples, from supernovae, from quasars, from campfires of ancient civilizations long gone. You are constantly bathed in the memory of everything. This realization makes existence feel fuller. The air around you is not empty. It's luminous with old light. You're walking through it, breathing it. Every photon that touches your skin has traveled unimaginable distances. You're being gently reminded, in silence, of how connected everything is. In some sense, light never truly stops. Even when absorbed, it becomes part of another system, converted, recycled, re-emitted. Its energy moves from atom to atom, form to form. Light cannot rest, only change hands. Like stories, it survives through retelling. Humans have learned to capture light in photographs, in films, in screens. Each time you look at an image, you're repeating the same cosmic gesture. Freezing time, letting the past linger. Our cameras are small echoes of telescopes. Our telescopes are small echoes of the universe's own memory. It's no wonder that ancient cultures worshipped light. They saw what modern physics later confirmed, that illumination and remembrance are the same thing. To see is to preserve. To shine is to endure. Light and memory are twin acts of defiance against oblivion. Even your own mind works in photons. The colors you recall, the faces you imagine, the dreams you replay, all reconstructed by the electrical storms inside your neurons. Light outside becomes thought inside. The universe writes its autobiography through us. When you remember something, you are performing a small act of astrophysics. You're recalling how light once moved, bouncing off a face, a wall, a river, and recreating it within your brain. In that moment, you become both observer and telescope, both receiver and archive. So much of the universe's structure depends on this constant reflection. Galaxies interact through light pressure. Plants on Earth build life from sunlight. Solar winds carve the boundaries of our system. Everything is responding to illumination, dancing in the choreography of photons. If the universe were a being, light would be its heartbeat. Every pulse, every burst, every flicker of a quasar would be a rhythmic reminder, I am still here. When the last star finally fades, its final photon will carry that heartbeat into eternity, cooling, stretching, but never erasing. To realize this is to fall into reverence. Even darkness becomes precious once you know it's full of light too faint to see. What you call black sky is not absence. It's light traveling beyond the reach of your eyes, still alive, still moving, still telling its story. Every night you look up, you participate in that story. You lend your consciousness to the act of remembering. The light does not need you to exist, but it needs you to be seen. Without perception, beauty has no witness, and without witness, existence loses its echo. That's why these quiet nights matter, not because they change the cosmos, but because they complete it. Observation is the final step of creation. Every photon was meant for a gaze, and every gaze, gentle or curious, fulfills the universe's purpose a little more. If light is the memory of the universe, then your awareness is its reflection. Together they form a loop, energy becoming perception, perception feeding back into wonder. That loop is the closest thing the cosmos has to consciousness, and so, even when everything grows dim, the act of noticing remains sacred. You are not just watching the universe fade, you are helping it remember. You are the archive, the echo, the continuation. Through you, the light never truly ends. Long before there was light, there was sound. Not the kind you hear, but the kind you feel. Vibrations rippled through the newborn universe, waves of pressure echoing through dense plasma. These were the first whispers of creation, long before galaxies or stars existed. The cosmos began not with silence, but with resonance. Even now, those vibrations linger. We call them the cosmic microwave background, a faint hum that fills all of space, a leftover song from 13.8 billion years ago. If your ears could hear microwaves, the night sky would sound like a deep, steady chord. The universe has been humming its lullaby ever since. Scientists once thought space was silent, but it never truly is. Every atom, every particle, every gravitational wave is vibration. Stars quake as they fuse, planets ring like bells when struck by meteors, and even black holes ripple space-time when they collide. The universe listens by vibrating. In a sense, sound is the most honest force. It cannot exist without movement, without contact. Light can cross a void, but sound requires closeness, a medium, a connection. The universe's sounds prove that everything is touching something else. Nothing is ever completely alone. Astronomers at NASA's Chandra Observatory once converted black hole data into sound. What emerged was a note, a B-flat, 57 octaves below middle C, too low for human hearing, but real. A black hole, 250 million light-years away, singing softly through the fabric of space. When we listen to the cosmos through data, we are not imagining poetry. We are translating it. The frequency of stars tells us their age, their temperature, their life cycle. The spectrum of a nebula is a melody written in elements: hydrogen, helium, carbon, oxygen, the notes of existence itself. Even the Earth sings. Seismic waves echo through its crust like slow percussion, and the atmosphere vibrates with infrasound from storms, oceans, and volcanic breaths. You can't hear it, but the planet hums constantly. NASA once recorded the Earth's magnetosphere vibrating from solar winds, our planet responding musically to the sun. Sound at its core is not different from thought. Both are patterns of oscillation, waves rising and falling through time. Your brain doesn't just receive vibrations, it creates them. Each thought, each emotion is an internal resonance, as if your consciousness were a miniature echo of the universe's hum. Maybe that's why certain sounds calm us. Rainfall, waves, wind through leaves, low music in the dark. They match the frequencies we were born from. They remind ourselves of the early vibrations that shaped matter. When you fall asleep to sound, you are synchronizing with creation. If light is memory, then sound is presence. It doesn't wait. It happens now. A sound cannot exist in the past or future, only in the instant it moves. To listen is to be anchored in the moment, to meet the universe exactly where it is vibrating. Physicists have discovered that even atoms vibrate with quantized energy levels, tiny standing waves inside every particle. The smallest components of reality are not static, but musical. Existence itself is a cosmic symphony, every note resonating at the Planck scale. In string theory, everything is literally vibration. The particles that make up all matter are imagined as tiny strings, each oscillating at specific frequencies. Electrons, quarks, photons, all just different notes played on the same instrument. The universe, it seems, is a song played by time. But unlike human music, the universe's melody is infinite. It doesn't repeat, it evolves. Its harmonies expand and decay, modulate and return. From the roaring chaos of the Big Bang to the soft whisper of background radiation, it has been composing itself for eternity. What does it mean, then, to listen? To listen is to align your rhythm with something beyond you. When you slow down and breathe, when you let the sound of the world enter your awareness, you are joining the ancient frequency of creation. You become part of the chorus. You can hear that chorus even in silence. Listen closely now. The faint buzz in your ears, the rhythm of your pulse, the hum of electricity in the walls. Those are echoes of larger vibrations. Silence is not the absence of sound, but the perception of stillness within motion. The James Webb Telescope doesn't capture sound, but its data can be sonified, transformed into audio. When that happens, galaxies become chords, stars become flutes, and exoplanets add percussion. Listening to those cosmic melodies feels less like science and more like remembrance. It's the universe playing itself back. Perhaps that's what makes this era of humanity special. We are the first species, as far as we know, that has taught the cosmos how to listen to itself consciously. Through instruments, microphones, detectors, we have become its ears. We are the part of the universe that recognizes its own resonance. When you listen deeply to the wind, to a recording of pulsars, to your own breath, you're participating in something vast. You're not just hearing, you're harmonizing. The same energy that vibrates through galaxies moves through your eardrum, your bones, your blood. It's humbling to think that even in death, the universe will not be silent. As particles decay, as space stretches, faint vibrations will persist, the last hums of entropy, still singing to no one. Silence, it turns out, is only a limit of perception. If the universe began with vibration and will end with it, then perhaps listening is the most sacred act we can perform. To listen is to witness change without trying to control it, to let waves pass through you and know you're made of them too. And so, when you lie down tonight, you are surrounded by the music of existence, the low hum of the planet, the hiss of background radiation, the rhythm of your breathing, all blending into one endless sound, a sound without beginning, without end. That sound is the universe remembering itself in motion. You don't have to understand it. You only have to listen. Time has always been our most familiar mystery. We live inside it, depend on it, measure it, yet no one has ever truly seen it. Time has no color, no sound, no texture, and still it shapes everything. It flows through you like wind through leaves, unseen but felt in every heartbeat. Physicists describe time as a dimension, like space, but curved by gravity. The stronger the gravity, the slower time moves. That means a clock on a mountain ticks faster than one in a valley, and a clock near a black hole almost stops. The universe does not keep one rhythm. It plays a million tempos at once. When you look up at the stars, you are also looking backward. Light takes time to travel, so the night sky is a mosaic of moments. Some stars you see tonight have already died. Some haven't even existed yet in your frame of reference. The sky is not space, it's layered time. Einstein called time and space inseparable, space-time, a single fabric woven from existence itself. Imagine stretching a soft sheet and placing a marble on it. The marble creates a dip, the sheet curves. Now replace the marble with a planet, a star, a galaxy. That's gravity. And as space curves, so does time. This means time does not simply pass. It bends around mass. It stretches with motion. It dilates under speed. Astronauts on the International Space Station age slightly slower than people on Earth. Every orbit, they slip a fraction of a second into the future. Time is pliable, a silent tide. But beyond equations, time feels emotional. We sense it not as geometry, but as memory. We know time because we remember. Without memory, there is only the present, a flicker with no story. The arrow of time may point forward, but its direction lives inside consciousness. Memory, in this sense, is not an illusion of time. It is time made visible. Each recollection is the brain folding the fabric backward, re-experiencing what has already flowed by. When you remember a moment, you are creating a miniature time machine inside your mind. The universe does this too. Every fossil, every photon, every ripple in space-time is a form of remembrance. Nothing is ever truly erased. The expansion of the cosmos might scatter matter thin, but information clings to reality like dust in sunlight. If you could step outside time, you would see every event at once, every birth, every death, every dawn. To you, it would appear frozen, a vast tapestry of simultaneous moments. But from inside, we experience it as motion, one heartbeat following another. The illusion is the rhythm. Some physicists suspect time doesn't even flow, that it's our brain stitching still frames into motion, like a film reel. Others argue that quantum processes give time its direction, as energy leaks and entropy increases. Either way, we move through something vast, invisible, and deeply personal. And yet, there are moments when time seems to stop. In deep focus, in love, in awe or in grief, the sense of passing vanishes. You feel suspended between before and after. In those moments, you experience what the universe feels all the time: timelessness. Even stars know this suspension. Inside their cores, fusion balances perfectly between collapse and explosion. That equilibrium can last billions of years. For a star, time is not a ticking clock, but a constant balancing act, an eternal present. Maybe that's why silence feels like eternity. When nothing changes, when no rhythm pushes forward, time relaxes. That's why we seek stillness. It's the closest we can get to touching the infinite. Meditation, sleep, even quiet listening are small rehearsals for eternity. The James Webb Telescope reminds us that the past is not lost. It's visible, just distant. When it captures galaxies from 13 billion years ago, it's proving that the first moments of time still exist, simply far away. Distance and time are the same word in cosmic language, and if time can be seen, then it can also be shaped, at least in perception. Artists, scientists, storytellers, all of them bend time. They slow it, stretch it, suspend it. Every story you hear, every melody you feel is a warp in your experience of time's river. What if time, instead of a line, is a spiral? Each moment loops back on itself, not repeating but resonating, past influencing present, present echoing into future. Patterns recur, galaxies spiral, DNA coils, thoughts revisit old paths. The universe doesn't march, it dances. In this dance, there is no true beginning or end, only turns, returns, and refrains. The Big Bang might have been just one beat in an infinite song, one expansion among countless breaths of creation. If so, then every end is simply the pause before the next note. To live, then, is to move gracefully through the spiral, to accept change as music, not as loss. The future is not an empty road waiting for us. It's a melody we are already humming. You are not being carried by time, you are helping to play it. When you sleep, you leave the arrow of time. Dreams ignore sequence. They mix childhood and tomorrow, faces that never met, places that never were. The dreaming mind reminds you that time is elastic, that reality can bend softly when consciousness is free, and when you wake, the arrow points forward again. You return to hours, to minutes, to causes and effects, but somewhere beneath that rhythm, your deeper self still remembers the curve, the spiral, the loop. It knows that linear time is only one version of truth. Even death, seen through this lens, is not an ending but a fold, a point where your timeline curves back into the universe. The atoms of your body will rejoin the flow, become stars, dust, rivers, light. Time will not stop. It will redistribute you. In the end, time has no sharp edges. It blurs, blends, and breathes. It expands like light through fog, filling everything without boundaries. You are not inside time. You are time, one brief, radiant fluctuation in its eternal pattern. So tonight, as you listen to this story fade, remember, you are both the traveler and the trail. You are what passes and what stays. You are a moment in motion and the motion itself. Everything you've heard tonight, the motion, the light, the sound, the time, has been the universe trying to remember itself through you. Every observation, every heartbeat, every quiet breath was part of that remembrance. You were never merely listening to a story, you were completing it. In this stillness, you become both witness and echo, a reflection of the cosmos realizing that it exists. It's strange how something so vast can feel so intimate. We talk about galaxies and black holes and space-time as if they're distant, but their ingredients are flowing inside you. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon that shapes your breath, and all forged in ancient stars that burned long before the Earth had a name. You are literally made of memory, sculpted by the same forces that guide the galaxies you've just imagined. When the James Webb Telescope looked into the beginning of time, it didn't find emptiness. It found order, color, and light where none should have been. It was as if the universe was saying, I have always known how to create. And perhaps that's true for you as well. Beneath your chaos, beneath your doubts, there is that same quiet knowing, that same drive toward beauty, complexity, and peace. The same spark that painted galaxies lives in the silence between your thoughts. Light, you now know, never really dies. It only stretches, softens, and moves beyond what eyes can see. Maybe consciousness works the same way. Maybe when we fade, but we don't vanish, we just redshift into another spectrum, a gentler wavelength where everything still exists, just slower, softer, deeper. If so, then no story truly ends. It just becomes invisible to certain eyes. Sound, too, lingers beyond its source. Every vibration you've ever made still ripples outward, merging with the hum of the planet, blending with the faint music of the stars. The universe doesn't forget your voice. It carries it forward, diffused but eternal, folded into the same frequencies that began at the dawn of time. Somewhere in the background radiation, you are still speaking, you are still singing. And time, that old illusion of progress, is not leaving you behind, it's cradling you. Each moment you've lived is still suspended somewhere, stitched into space-time like beads on a string. Nothing you've loved is truly gone. Every gesture, every kindness, every quiet wonder is recorded in the fabric of reality, in ways we may never decode but can still feel. The universe has perfect memory, it just whispers instead of writing. This realization changes how you breathe. Suddenly, the ordinary feels sacred. The hum of a refrigerator becomes a cosmic drone. The glow of a city at night becomes the reflection of ancient starlight. The passing of a single second becomes a continuation of everything that has ever been. You are not outside the cosmos, studying it from afar. You are its interior voice, murmuring softly about itself. You may never touch another galaxy, but you have already touched the universe. Every photon that enters your eyes completes a journey billions of years long. Every thought you form collapses quantum possibilities into meaning. Every heartbeat aligns with the pulse of the stars. You are not watching the cosmic story. You are one of its sentences, essential, luminous, irreplaceable. So when you think of your place in all this, do not shrink. The universe does not measure significance by size, but by awareness. A single conscious thought outweighs galaxies in meaning because it knows they exist. Awareness is gravity for the soul, the invisible force that holds experience together. The more you notice, the more real everything becomes. And now, as this journey comes to rest, let the story fold into quiet. Imagine the galaxies dimming like candles after a long celebration. Imagine the stars settling into stillness. Imagine time itself slowing its breath. There is no sadness in this, only completion. The universe does not mourn its fading light. It rests in the peace of being seen. If this quiet journey brought you a moment of wonder, I'm deeply grateful you spent it here with me. Your presence, your silence, even your curiosity, they've added warmth to this infinite night. Before you drift away, tell me in the comments where you are tonight and what time it is. Across the planet, from city to mountain to sea, we are all looking at the same sky, each of us a flicker in the same memory. Your words, your presence, even your silence, they're like little stars guiding me forward. Until the next journey, traveler, keep listening to the hum beneath your thoughts, the rhythm of your breathing, the gravity that pulls you gently towards sleep. Because right now, in this very still moment, you are exactly where the universe meant you to be, alive, aware, and infinite.